Okay, so now we're finding the antiderivatives or the indefinite integral of trig functions. One thing you might want to do is have handy the list of, so here's the original parent function, and then here's the derivative of each of those parent functions. And then remember, when you find the integral, you look at whose function. So if we had the integral of cosine x dx, you ask yourself, if this is the derivative, what was the original function? And that's what the integral will be. It kind of can mess with your brain a little bit, but that's the process. So the question is, which function, I started to word that differently, which function's derivative is this? Is another way to say that. Well, we know that sine's derivative is cosine x, so capital F of x is sine x plus c. Well, if we look over here, we have a derivative of negative sine x. We have this negative sine x. Well, whose derivative is negative sine x? Cosine x. So we bring the 2 out, and I'm pretty sure that's what I did here. Yep. And now, whose derivative is this? Cosine x. And you add on the plus c. So again, we have a secant squared. So whose derivative is positive secant squared? Tangent x. So that will be the antiderivative. So we pull out the negative 5, we rewrite it, and then capital F of x is negative 5 tangent x plus capital C. All right, so look at, I left the negative sign here this time, and this is why. There is a derivative that is negative cosecant cotangent. Well, whose derivative is this? Cosecant. So first thing I do is I pull out 3 instead of negative 3, and I leave this because this is the derivative of cosecant. So then I write capital F of x is equal to 3 times cosecant x plus c. All right, 2 more. So now we have secant x tangent x. Whose derivative is secant x tangent x? Secant x. So we bring that coefficient out and then proceed with integral notation. Capital F of x is equal to 5 secant x, not squared, sorry about that, secant x plus c. All right, now we have cosecant squared x, whose derivative is cosecant squared x. There isn't one whose derivative is cosecant x, but there is one whose derivative is negative cosecant. So what we do there is capital F of x. If this would have been negative cosecant, our answer would have cosecant squared. Our answer would have simply been cotangent. But because there's not a negative sign, this is the inverse, the multiplicative inverse of that. Well, not inverse, the opposite. Then that becomes the opposite, just like that. All right, that's it for, except for some of my awkward wording, that's it for antiderivatives of trig functions.